Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Rukmini Dwakadesh, Rukmini Dwakadesh, Rukmini Dwakadesh, Rukmini Dwakadesh. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhupada His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Charger His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhupada Sutarata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananti Kori Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se Gaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sri Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shami Kun Radhakun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dhamma Ki Jai. Sri Mayapur Navadeep Dhamma Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dhamma Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Srimati Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtana Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Gaura Premananda Haribo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Okay, so we start on verse 22. There's no purports for a couple of verses, then we chant together text 25. So I'll just read the translation for... Somebody's just finished the chapter? Okay. So we'll go through the whole chapter at the end of the chapter, but today we'll start on text 22. Translation. From Ajamida came a son named Brihadishu. From Brihadishu came a son named Brihadanu. From Brihadanu, a son named Brihatkaya. And from Brihatkaya, a son named Jayadratha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sorry about that. Okay, text 23. The son of Jayadratha was Vishada, and his son was Snehajit. The sons of Snehajit were Ruchirasva, Drihahanu, Kasya, and Vatsa. Okay, text 24. The son of Ruchirasva was Para, and the sons of Para were Pritusena and Nipa. Nipa had 100 sons. So text 25 we chant together. Sa Kritvayam Sukha Kanyayam Brahmadatam Ajijanat Yogi Sa Gavi Bharyayam Vishvakshinam Adat Sutam Sakritvayam Sukha Kanyayam Brahmadatam Ajijanat Yogi Sagavi Bharyayam Vishvaksenam Adat Sutam Sakritvyam Sukha Kanyayam Brahmadatam Ajijanat Yogi Sagavi Bharyayam Vishvakshenam Adat Sutam Sakrityam Sukha Kayayam Brahmadatam Ajijanat Yogi Sagavi Bharyayam Vishvakshenam adatsutam. Sakritvayam sukakayayam. Vishvakshenam adatsutam. Sakrityam sukakayayam. Brahmadatam ajitjanat. Yogi sagavi bharyayam. Vishvakshenam adatsutam. Vishvaksenam adatsutam. Sakritvayam sukakanyayam. Yogi sagavi bharyayam. Vishvakshenam adatsutam. Ladies. Sakrityam sukakayayam. Brahmadatam ajijanat. Yogi sagavi bharyayam. Vishvakshenam adatsutam. Saha. He, King Nipa, Krityam, and his wife, Kritvi, Sukakanyayam, who was the daughter of Sukha, Brahmadatam, a son named Brahmadatta, Ajijanat, begot, Yogi, a mystic yogi, Saha, that Brahmadatta, Gavi, by the name Gau or Sarasvati, Bharyayam, in the womb of his wife, Vishvakshenam, Vishvakshena, Adat, begot, Sutam, a son. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. King Nipa begot a son named Brahmadatta through the womb of his wife Kritvi, who was a daughter of Sukha, and Brahmadatta, who was a great yogi, begot a son named Vishvakshena through the womb of his wife Sarasvati. Purport. The Sukha mentioned here is different from the Sukadeva Goswami who spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, is described in great detail in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana. There it is said that Vyasadeva maintained the daughter of Jabali as his wife, and that after they performed penances together for many years, he placed his seed in her womb. The child remained in the womb of his mother for 12 years, and when the father asked the son to come out, the son replied that he would not come out unless he were completely liberated from the influence of Maya. Vyasadeva then assured the child that he would not be influenced by Maya, but the child did not believe his father, for the father was still attached to his wife and children. Vyasadeva then went to Dwarka and informed the personality of Godhead about his problem, and the personality of Godhead, at Vyasadeva's request, went to Vyasadeva's cottage, where he assured the child in the womb that he would not be influenced by Maya. Thus assured, the child came out, but he immediately went away as a parivrakacharya. When the father, very much aggrieved, began to follow his saintly boy, Sukadeva Goswami, the boy created a duplicate Sukadeva, who later entered family life. Therefore, the Sukha Kanya, or daughter of Sukadeva, mentioned in this verse, is the daughter of the duplicate or imitation Sukadeva. The original Sukadeva was a lifelong brahmachari. So, we'll continue on and read the rest of the translations for the chapter. So text 26, following the instructions of the great sage Jaigishavya, Vishvakshena compiled an elaborate description of the mystic yoga system. From Vishvakshena, Udakshena was born, and from Udakshena, Balata. All these sons are known as descendants of Brihadishu. The son of Dvimida was Yavinara, whose son was Kritiman. The son of Kritiman was well known as Satyadriti. From Satyadriti came a son named Dridanemi, who became the father of Suparshva. From Suparshva came a son named Sumati. From Sumati came Sanatiman, and from Sanatiman came Kirti, who achieved mystic power from Brahma and taught 6 Samhitas of the Pratyasama verses of the Sama Veda. The son of Kriti was Nipa. The son of Nipa, Ugrayuda. The son of Ugrayuda, Shemaya. The son of Shemya, Suvira. And the son of Suvira, Ripunjaya. From Ripunjaya came a son named Bahurata. Purumida was sonless. Ajamida had a son named Nila by his wife known as Nalini, and the son of Nila was Santi. The son of Santi was Susanti. The son of Susanti was Puruja, and the son of Puruja was Arka. From Arka came Barmyasva, and from Barmyasva came 5 sons, Mugala, Yavinara, Brihadvishva, Kampila, and Sanjaya. Barmyasva prayed to his sons, "O my sons, please take charge of my 5 states, for you are quite competent to do so." Thus his 5 sons were known as the Panchalas. From Mudgala came a dynasty of Brahmanas known as Mogalya. Mudgala, the son of Barmyasva, had twin children, one male and the other female. The male child was named Divodasa, and the female child was named Ahalya. From Ahalya. From the womb of Ahalya, by the semen of her husband Gautama, came a son named Sutananda. The son of Satananda. The son of Satananda was Satyadriti, who was expert in archery, and the son of Satyadriti was Saradvan. When Saradvan met Urvasi, he discharged semen, which fell on a clump of sara grass. From this semen were born 2 all-auspicious babies, one male and the other female. While Maharaj Santanu was on a hunting excursion, he saw the male and female children lying in the forest, and out of compassion, he took them home. Consequently, the male child was known as Kripa, and the female child was named Kripi. Kripi later became the wife of Dronacharya. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 9th canto, 21st chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Dynasty of Bharat. Wow. Om Jnanatmirandasya Gananjanashalaka Chakshu Umritam Jain Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, These names are practically tongue twisters. But it's important for us to hear this because, as you know, this is the 9th chapter, and the next chapter is the 10th, or the next canto is the 10th canto. And this is where Krishna appears. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I think this is the last chapter, yes, in this particular Bhagavatam. And of course, in the 10th canto, it's all about Krishna. So all these particular names and these dynasties, they're all lineage that goes to Sri Krishna. And this is very important for us to know. Just like ordinary mundane people, they're sometimes concerned about their ancestry. Sometimes people pay thousands and thousands of dollars to find out who was their grandfather. And even in the U.S., in America, if you're a family whose great-great-grandparents landed in America way back in the 1600s or something, you're considered to be a very cultured, very important family in the history of American culture. So this is very important. This tells us what our lineage is. Sometimes if you, I believe we went to Tirupati. There we went to the temple up in Tirupati. I was there for a BBT trustees meeting. And we went in front of the deity there. And the priest, the Brahmana priest, he said, "What is your gotra? What's your existence? What is your gotra?" And I said, "Achyuta." He go, "Acha." And then he chanted some mantras real fast. He was chanting them like really heavy, big, chanting really heavy. And then I heard him say, "Svavasa das Achyuta," and it threw some grains. And so, yes, this is our dynasty, Achyuta, everlasting, directly up to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because we're parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. All these other histories are simply mundane, and they simply refer to the body, the temporary body. But this particular gotra that we belong to is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when we read these particular names and these dynasties, this is what it's leading up to help us understand that there is a lineage, that this isn't some just what do they call them? I'm having a senior moment. If something's not real, phantasmagoria, like, huh? Yeah, concocted, not just something somebody just concocted in their mind, but there's a history, there's a connection, and it goes all the way from Krishna down to us here. And this is our real gotra. So, what's that? Yeah, mythology. That was the word. I kept thinking mysticism, but mythology. Yes, this is what it is. So this is not mundane history. And these histories are important, as we said, because they lead us to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this particular purport that we read this morning, very interesting because it also tells us about Sukadeva Goswami. And Sukadeva Goswami in our history is extremely important because Sukadeva Goswami was the person that spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we're reading it here, can you imagine, 5,000 years later. And a brief history is that King Parikshit was the ruler of the whole world at this time that the Bhagavatam was spoken. And he was a saintly king, extremely powerful. And of course, just a short history is that we know that he was out hunting, and there he met, Samika Muni, is that who it was? Samika Rishi, yeah. He was in meditation, and he came there. And it's understood culturally that when a great personality comes to your abode, you offer some drink. And of course, he was in meditation, so he didn't. And King Parikshit, he took a dead snake, wrapped it around his neck like a garland. And so the son's name is Sri. Yeah, Srini, yeah, that's right, Srini, yeah. He heard about this and became very disturbed. And he was a Brahmana, powerful Brahmana. And so he cursed King Parikshit, that you would die by what? A snake bird, Takshaka. Takshaka, that was a snake bird's name. And sometimes we've seen a photograph, I think a picture of this, isn't there? Isn't there a painting? How big this snake bird was, huge snake bird. And it was created by this Brahmana boy to kill King Parikshit for his offense to his father. And although King Parikshit was very powerful, he was a great devotee, a pure devotee of Lord, he had the ability to actually counteract the curse. But because of him being a pure devotee, he could see this was the will of the Lord. He could see that this was Krishna's will. And Krishna's will was that they would meet together, King Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami. And from there, we would actually be able to get the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this was the arrangement. And King Parikshit, he actually surrendered to it. So he gave up everything. Now, you can imagine what a scene this must have been. Like, let's take President Obama. If President Obama heard, I have to die, I'm going to die in 1 week. So today's Friday. By next Friday, I'm going to be dead. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, let's say, by the Lincoln Monument. I'm going to have them build a little stage. I'm going to sit there until I'm going to fast until I die. Now, can you imagine what kind of scenario that would create? I mean, just imagine that. How many people would come from around the world? Some people would be crying and say, no, no, don't do that. No, don't do this. We can give you some medicine. Everybody say, no. He stayed steadfast. So we can see that people would come from all around the world. So when King Parikshit, when he announced that he would stay there, and he actually went by the Ganga. I think it was Sukala. That's the name of the place that he was, by the Ganges River. And there he sat. And he was going to sit there till the snake bird came to bite him. So this created all kinds of excitement. So thousands and thousands of sages came to this particular site to see this amazing event. The emperor of the world, who had everything, giving it up, family, wife, children, everything, just to sit there and leave this world, leave this planet. And of course, being that who he was, he obviously had some serious questions to ask, you know, and he did. These sages came, all of them were there. They were witnessing this amazing event. Even Sutta Goswami was there. Sutta Goswami is the one who again gives us the Srimad Bhagavatam. He was there in the audience, witnessing this amazing event. And all the witnesses there were great sages and saints from everywhere. They came from everywhere, so to see this fantastic occasion. And King Parikshit, he actually asked them that question. Like, you know, what is the purpose of life? He asked that question to all the saints and sages. And he also asked, what is the unalloyed service of a person, regardless of what any circumstance, you know, whatever may happen, how should one act? How should one think? This was his question to the sages. And he said, especially at this time of death, please answer those questions for me. So it's described that it was kind of amazing because these sages who are supposed to be knowledgeable, some cried out, just perform elaborate sacrifices from now till your death. Just do huge yagyas. You know, offer tons and tons of gold and ghee and so many nice, wonderful things to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and please all the gods by your sacrifice. Some cried out for that. And King Parikshit said, no, 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 no. I'm not interested. That is not the goal at this time. That is not answering my question. And some of them cried out, practice yoga. Do yoga. Become a yogi and control your life airs. Try to understand the Supreme Lord, Super Soul, in your heart. And This would make a lot of people that practice yoga happy if he would have done that. But King Pariksit said, no, I'm not interested in yoga. This is not the end point of life. So this went on. So what's really amazing is that out of all these saints and sages, they really didn't have the answer. They really didn't understand what the purpose of human life is, what would be the end point. So then some came forward and said, give charity. Do a lot of charity. And we see that very wealthy people that are really influential and very rich, before they leave this world, they like to do some charitable activity. In fact, they usually try to put a charity named after them. How many charities are out there that, where people have made stolen billions of dollars from people by cheating methods. And so they think, okay, let me set up a charity. And this charity will now exist for so many years, and everybody will remember me. So here the sages were saying, set up a charity and give charity. And that should be the end point of your life. That should be the goal. You worked hard. You were a great king. You were a great ruler. You did everything very nicely. Now set up a charitable fund for yourself. And this will be the end point of your life. This will be the glorious activity, to do this charity. And he also said that's nonsense. So why could he say that? Because it happens even today. You have very knowledgeable people, so-called, who are very rich and very expert, but why cannot they understand what the real goal of life is? Why can't they? Why do they think that a charity is what they should do? Or some sacrifices. So this is very important. If you study the history of mankind, there's been wonderful occasions, like the history of America is freedom. This was the history of America. So there's histories, but these histories are all mundane. They refer to just some temporary situation. But the history, this monumental moment when Sukadeva Goswami met King Pariksit, and he heard these questions, he gave the answer. And the answer that he gave was the Srimad Bhagavatam. This was the answer of those questions that King Pariksit asked. And only Sukadeva Goswami could actually answer those questions. No one else there could answer them. So this is what we have here, the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in one sense, Sukadeva Goswami was the guru of everyone there at that time. He was the guru of everybody, of thousands of these sages that were there. They didn't know the answer. Only Sukadeva Goswami, because he heard it from his father, Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Vedanta. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of this tree of the Vedic knowledge. It's the ripened fruit. And it says that when the lips of this fruit was touched, the lips of Sukadeva Goswami touched this, it even became more ripe. It became juicy. Just like if you have a real ripe mango. I'm sure most of us here have had a ripe mango. There's nothing like a ripe mango. It's juicy, it's full of flavor, it's luscious, and you can't stop eating it. So this is the Srimad Bhagavatam. When it was spoken by Sukadeva Goswami, it became luscious, as we can see here, that, we're reading this Bhagavatam even 5,000 years later. And 5,000 years later, we're still getting the nectar, the juice of this science of Krishna consciousness. So this is why Sukadeva Goswami is so important. And we can see at the end of life, if we somehow or other can understand the Srimad Bhagavatam, we can actually be saved. So when they were sitting on that bank, then came Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami at this time was only 16 years old. As Prabhupada puts in a purport that he came out at 12 years old from the womb. He traveled those 4 years as Parivrakacharya. He traveled throughout the world at that time and preached to people. But he came and he was beautiful. His bodily hue was the same color as Lord Krishna. And he was beautiful beyond reproach. When the saints and sages saw him, everyone stood up to offer him respects. This is how magnanimous he was. Now, we have to see that these sages weren't ordinary people, by the way. It didn't say ordinary village people. It said saints and sages, which means that these people were very elevated. But still, when they saw Sukadeva Goswami, they were completely absorbed in his appearance, so much so that they forgot everything about who they were, what their purpose was. They just became fixated on this beautiful form of Sukadeva Goswami. And so, at that particular point, Sukadeva Goswami began speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam, the ripened fruit. It says that the Bhagavatam is ashraya. Ashraya means like the shelter. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the shelter of all living entities. It is our shelter. By reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, one can become freed from this material bondage. There's no other book that you can read. What book can you read out there from the Borders bookstore that guarantees you, unless you get a Gita there, that guarantees you that you can become freed from material bondage? This is the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's described that Krishna is Vishaya Vigraha. Vishaya means that he's the subject. He's the subject of the Bhagavatam, ultimately. And it's described that Radharani, she's the protector. She's the protector of this prema, the subject. Subject means Krishna. And what is the subject? Love, prema. It's described that Radharani is the protector of that prema of Krishna. So that's why the Bhagavatam, she is the subject of Bhagavatam. She's the subject because she's protecting. And those that want to actually understand Krishna have to be able to get through that protection. Not everyone can come into the Srimad Bhagavatam and understand it. It's only by a certain process. And that process is by the parampara, by serving those great souls who are actually self-realized and who have heard this divine Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can best serve Krishna. We can serve Krishna, but the best way to serve Krishna is to serve Radharani. So our purpose is to serve the Srimad Bhagavatam. So how do you serve the Bhagavatam? By Shravanam Kirtanam. This is how you serve the Srimad Bhagavatam. You hear the Bhagavatam, and then you preach the Bhagavatam. Shravanam Kirtanam. Then you're serving Srimati Radharani. And by that service to Radharani, then it goes to Krishna. And then we can understand the essence of what Krishna consciousness is, what Krishna consciousness is actually about. Otherwise, it's simply speculation. So you can just imagine how important Sukadeva Goswami is to us in terms of him giving us this Srimad Bhagavatam, the ripened fruit of Vedic culture, Vedic science. And without it, we wouldn't know what to do. And what's even more magnanimous is that Srila Prabhupada came and he gave it to us, Yavanas, non-believers, Chandalas. He gave us this ripened fruit. And the mercy that we have acquired from Srila Prabhupada is unlimited. Unlimited. We can't even conceive. So if we serve that pure devotee of the Lord, Bhagavatam says, Shushusho Sharadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Seva Vipra Punya Tirtana Sevanat. That if you serve that pure devotee, that devotee of the Lord who is freed from all vice, it says that great service is done. And by that service, you can have an affinity for hearing the messages of Krishna, of Vasudeva. You develop a desire. So if you read Bhagavatam, you hear Bhagavatam, you're also serving Radharani. Then you read the purports of the pure devotee. And when you execute the instructions given to us by the pure devotee of the Lord, you're serving the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. So all this is service. And that service is bringing us to the point that we are today, of wanting to become devotees, of wanting to actually go on and serve the Krishna consciousness movement. And this is the essence of it. This is the essence of our existence. So we have to be very surrendered. It takes a lot of surrender. This is not an easy process, but we've been given so many opportunities in so many ways. It's described Krishna Varnam Tisa Krishna Sango Pankasya Parsadam Yagnai Sankirtan Pranaya Janti Hi Sumeda Saha. So Sumeda Saha, it's described that if someone has just a little bit of intelligence, not to have a lot, Sumeda Saha, intelligence. If one is intelligent in this age of Kali Yuga, one will worship the Supreme Lord, and who's accompanied by his associates by the performance of the Sankirtan Yagya. That's what this is about. This is Sankirtan Yagya, by reading the Bhagavatam and speaking the Bhagavatam, hearing the Bhagavatam, and giving the Bhagavatam. Can you imagine giving a set of Bhagavatams to a particular person in their home? What the effect will be to their home. They have no realization practically why they're doing it. So when a devotee gives a set of Bhagavatams to somebody and they put it in their home, it's like a time bomb. It's only a matter of time before that Bhagavatam will take effect on their life in some way or other. It will have effect. It'll purify the whole existence, and they won't even know why it's happening. But just by having it in their home, they're serving the Bhagavatam because they're allowing it within their home, in their private structure, and the Bhagavatam sitting there in their home. And eventually, it'll take effect. And eventually, they'll develop intelligence. And eventually, they'll take up this Sankirtan Yagya. Sooner or later, it's only a matter of time that this actually happens. So, the Krishna conscious movement is here to give that opportunity to people. It's described in the Bhagavatam, Savai Punsham Parodharmo Yato Bhaktira Hokshajay Ahaituki Apratihata Yapasupasidati. That the supreme occupation, everybody wants an occupation for whatever reason. And it's described that the supreme occupation is that all men, everyone, no one's excluded. Women, men, doesn't matter. But the occupation is that we can develop transcendental loving service unto the Lord. That is our supreme occupation. And it says that that devotional service to Krishna, it has to be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order for us to feel satisfaction, to be happy. Because we're all looking for happiness, each and every one of us. You know, we're struggling to be happy. We go through so many endeavors. Even in the material world, I like this one example Prabhupada gives of a monkey. How do they capture a monkey? They have a cage where the monkey can stick its arm in there. But to come back out, it's not big enough for the banana to come out. The banana's in the cage. So the monkey sticks his hand in the cage, grabs the banana, but it can't get it out. And it struggles. It does all kinds of things trying to get that banana out. And then can't do it. It gets captured. They throw a net over the monkey. This is what we are. We're like monkeys. We're holding on to sense gratification. And we can't let go, although we're suffering like anything. Each and every one of us in this room is suffering like anything. There's none of us that can say, oh, I'm really happy. Maybe for 60 seconds. Maybe 120 seconds. And if you're having a really good day, it might be 5 minutes. But what we refuse to let go of the banana. We won't let it go. And we get beat up by Maya every single day. And here we see that if we just simply would surrender to the Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting the Bhagavatam, we'll be able to let go of that banana. Eventually we'll let it go. We'll see that that banana is bringing us unlimited suffering. Unlimited. It's just phenomenal what kind of suffering can exist in this material world. How tortured we are. But still we won't let it go. We still think there's a little glimpse of hope. Hope against hope that we'll be happy. No. It's not possible. This world is dukhalayam shashvatam. That's why Bhagavatam is so important, because the Bhagavatam tells us this. It preaches this to us. And day after day, if we hear it, finally, by the end of our life, hopefully, we'll believe it and we'll let go of that banana. You'll let it go. And then we can actually become happy. Then we'll become satisfied and relieved. It's relieved. Just like if you're suffering and there's some relief, you go, oh my God, thank God, I'm relieved. You're just like, you can exhale. You can actually just feel like normal. You think, oh, this is normal. But then again, the next day, again it comes. And again we suffer like anything. And in the material world, people are suffering like anything. Like anything. They're not, no one's happy. Let's not become disillusioned by their so-called face. They may see you for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and they're like, they'll shake your hand. Hey, how you doing? Hi, what's happening? And everything, you know, very, very happy. Oh, yeah. Man, I'm, you know, going to this thing and that thing. Man, it's a great day. But really, it's suffering. We're all suffering. So let us become absorbed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Let us surrender to Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Radharani. It's Radharani. Let's serve the Bhagavatam by hearing it and letting it enter in our hearts and then become purified. And that purification is that we'll let go of the banana. So it's breakfast time. They're serving bananas. Be careful. Be careful with that banana. Don't fight over that banana over there. Yeah. All right, so I got a little excited. I went over. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.